Hey, but you know what? Let's get the legend drum rolled in here. Hey, yo! Shout out and welcome to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Hey, brother. Hey, Detroit Pistons, crazy wild win against the Miami Heat. 5-7. If they would have beat the Houston Rockets or just one more win, they're tied for third place in the East. Over an eighth of the way through the season right now, Rod. Just need Rod's thoughts. The win, the season so far, what they've done through this gauntlet of a stretch. I see the glasses coming off. I think I'm about to, let me see. I'm going to wait. Am I getting temper, Rod, or am I getting, I see something.
Nope, we're going back with the glasses. We're going old school Sesame Street with the count. And the number of the day is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 7.
We here.
Talk to me, Rod.
We here.
We said in the beginning of the year that it wouldn't necessarily show up in the numbers and the wins immediately. At 0-2, 0-3, everybody was all jumping off the Titanic like this was the end of everything. This is another season. And I said, hold out, because the Moet Index says this team is better. Let Tim Hardaway cook a little bit. Let him hit some threes. Let Malik Beasley try to figure it out. And once the vets kind of get integrated enough with Cade, you would start seeing some stuff. 5-7 is not a championship team. This is still very early in the season. But if you are not encouraged by what you're seeing right now, then I don't know what to tell you. This is a better team, not just on paper, not just on the court, not just with what you see. This is a good team. I can say this is a good team.
Hey,
I'll leave it at that. It's a good team.
You know what? I love the comments that you had there for this team, because they believe a little bit more in themselves as well. Let's roll the Tobias Harris clip. I wanted to ask him the question about, I keep saying it, over an eighth of the way through the season, and we see a lot of growth in these young players, because the defensive rating of the Pistons last year was 118.8. Right now they sit at 111. Do you understand how crazy of an improvement that is already? To see that type of improvement this early in the season, and I know that there's some teams that are getting off to not the best starts, but to see the Detroit Pistons, who they have new players of their own, and chemistry is going to be a thing as well that affects them as they try to get to learn each other. Defensively, they're playing a lot more connected. They're mucking things up. They're slowing the pace down. They're playing physical. They're not the biggest team. They are not the tallest team, but they're finding a way, though, to kind of, when they say grit now, I'm starting to actually be like, you know what? I heard some of the previous regimes use some of the code words in the Alliance. As they're using it, this regime, I'm actually trying to say, you know what? I can see the identity. I can see it. But let's hear from Tobias Harris on the growth of the young players.
Yeah, and Tobias, a little bit over an eighth of the season has gone by. 5-7 record, which is much better than the start last year. Can you just speak to the early growth that you've seen from the young players? Just looking at the box score, they stuffed the stat sheet tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's stats are one thing, but it's more about, in my opinion, style of how we're playing and the intent that we're playing with. You know, I thought J.I. was great for us tonight in the way his decision making, especially early on in the game, of getting in the paint and kicking out. Like, he really allowed us to get into a good flow out there on the offensive end, and the playmaking he was doing was creating a lot of open baskets for us. And you know, sometimes those show up as assists, but overall, like, that type of energy and that type of ball movement, swing passes, helps create that type of flow for the whole group. But the young guys are continuing to blossom and coming to who they are, and it's just about us figuring out game after game how we can close. And some nights it could be like tonight, and other nights, you know, we just got to figure it out. But overall, I think this group has done a really good job from game one until now. And you can look at that record and also kind of see that there were probably a few games that we should have been on the other side of. So it's all a learning process, but I think we're doing a really good job of getting it together.
Tobias.
You know what? I love how even keeled he is. When we talk about a veteran who, you know what, we might want to see a little bit more from a Tobias Harris. He's still been a steadying voice, a steadying hand for these young players. And just to hear him in these press conferences and just kind of see how stoic and just how unmoved he is game after game, whether it's a loss or whether it's a win, it's that stay the course mentality. And they are very confident that they are going to get much better. They are confident that they should have more wins. Isaiah Stewart told me that to my face. Tobias Harris told me that to my face. And let's bring up the JB Bickerstaff comments as well before we bring in Summer Weathers to present our swish or golly,
You done
swish
forgot.
or break.
already.
Our swish or break segment is on the way. But let's hear from JB Bickerstaff on last night's win.
This is who they are, and we love every minute of it. Just their resolve, all the stuff that they've been through. Multiple times tonight they could have given in, right? It was too hard. They were making shots. We were turning it over and over again. Instead of laying down, they banded together and went out and kept competing and just tried to make another play to help us win. And at the end of the day, we were able to get it done.
And just more of that stoicness, man. JB Bickerstaff, I'm telling y'all, he is a coach's coach. He is, in terms of covering the game and being a fan of basketball and having played it, it's like, talking to him is pretty epic, man. Just talking basketball. Jamel McMillan is another one of those guys. I know you got the opportunity at the media day to be there as well. But just before we get into that, Rod, any thoughts on the things you heard from Tobias or from JB Bickerstaff? And just one side note, Asar Thompson is cleared for play. He is just going to work himself back into game shape.
Boom. No, and I think that's what you needed in both a coach and a veteran that you're bringing in, is that sort of steadying hand that's not going to get too far up. And when I think about young guys with a couple of vets, I think about Kobe with the Lakers, and when they got a win and the guys are just kind of jumping around and Kobe's like, man, what are y'all doing? This is the opposite of that. This is you don't see Cade, you don't see J.I. or any of those guys really jumping up and down. And it's not 8-1 or 8-2 or something. This is very much a 5-7, and you're starting to figure some things out, and you're just building blocks on top of each other. So it's good to see. It's good to see JB's defensive scheme just sort of starting to take hold, and guys buying into that. That is the biggest thing. And you mentioned the numbers there. That is the biggest thing for this turnaround, is that they are not giving up these big quarters and these big runs where they just cannot climb out of it. You feel like they're in every game. Swisher break. Let's go. Swisher break. Let's go.
We got it. Flannel, you said something very interesting too. Their defense kept them in it last night when they kept turning the ball over. It was reminiscent of that Lions game. So I hope they keep going. Let's get into the Swisher break. Summer Weathers, she's a part of our extended Woo Crew family.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground at the Motor City Cruise game last night with KG. Hey, we were all in the building for a little bit, and you guys held it down the rest of the way when we zipped over to Pistons and all that. Welcome to the show, Summer. She's going to read off the question one by one. I'm going to set the stage after that. So she's going to throw it over. And then, hey, I pass it to you guys. Swish or break. Swish or break.
Swish or break.
Right. Let's go, Summer. Welcome to the show.
What up, dog?
Chat family, hey,
What
throw
up,
some
though?
likes up there for Summer.
All right, well, Kool-Aid, we got to know, does JB Bickerstaff deserve the most credit for the Pistons' success right now?
Listen, we're not talking about all. We're not talking about all. But in terms of the percentage of the pie, JB Bickerstaff right now, what he's done to transform, like Rod just said, we'll use your own words, Rod, to transform this defense. 111 defensive rating. Jaden Ivey is looking like more than a serviceable defender. Look up Cade Cunningham's defensive numbers and the field goal percentages against them. They are putrid because of the defense that's being played, and they seem to be in the right positions, connected as a team, talking and doing things that I haven't really seen them do since Jeremy Grant was here. And that was a completely different team with a lot more vets on it. JB Bickerstaff deserves the most credit for the turnaround that we see right now. Flannel?
Swish.
Ooh.
You said it as well. Cade Cunningham is looking like an all NBA defensive player right now. He is. I'm not saying he's going to get first team or anything like that, but that is a huge difference. And that's been JB Bickerstaff's MO going all the way back to Cleveland.
JB Smooth.
Oh, this is an
It's a
easy
no-brainer,
Tyler
bro.
Hero layup switch. Like, come on.
a no-brainer.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I told you this was gonna happen. Like once
You
we got
called
JB
JB
here.
Bickerstaff before all of us, bro.
I'm just saying, like, come on, this
I
is
wonder
easy.
why.
Too
Right.
easy.
You're
Too
JB
easy
brothers.
layup. See, too easy. Just easy
Sing it
switch.
in, happy, yeah, bro. KG, what up, though?
Hey, half court all net. I mean, this is just, we just got to be real about it, man. JB Bickerstaff coming in. This is the best Pistons defense I've seen in a couple of regimes. And I'm talking Monty. I'm talking Dwayne Casey. No offense to him. I love Dwayne. But the Lions, the Pistons defense has not looked like this in a very long time. And they're not perfect, but they are on their way to crafting something really, really beautiful.
Rod Beard, what say ye?
This is a Steph or Clay last night.
Trying to tell you.
Which,
Tell him, Rod.
this is Steph in the Olympics, which, I mean, defensively is the biggest difference. Absolutely.
Let's Rod. Let's get into question number 2 or statement number 2.
And speaking of defense, do you think it will get better as the season goes on?
We talked about 111 defensive rating. We see what these guys are doing. I actually believe that there's improvement that will be had.
Yeah.
I'm hearing from the players. I'm hearing from fans as well that believe this. I don't know where you go to get better from here. Like, that's already really good in this era of basketball. But Asar Thompson's on the way back.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I was gonna say.
They can get better. I believe, and this is a statement, they will swish or break flannel.
Swish. And you said it. You said it. Asar Thompson is back. Ron Holland has been what we asked him to be as a defender. Isaiah Stewart, what a season he's having. He's impacting games greatly, and he's not even shooting the three. Cade Cunningham's been a great defender so far this year, and that's not all. Absolutely, it is going to continue because of the Asar Thompson factor.
JB Smooth.
Oh, this is a switch as well. There is room for improvement, but you see the improvement slowly but surely on the court every single night. And I think it just takes a little bit more for these players to buy into what JB Bickerstaff has and what he's telling them. And honestly, you're going to see a great improvement as the season goes on more and more.
I'm sorry, LFG said this segment should be called Puff Puff Pass.
It really
and I
should.
looked, I realized we're going in a circle.
Just let me know.
Sponsored by Swisher.
You know what?
Right.
Expect we gotta do flavor here.
You're right.
With summer, you know what? JB, you be cooking stuff up.
Yeah,
KG,
man. Sponsored by Swisher Sweet. But
We could.
was the specific question, will the defense improve? Like,
Yes.
get better from here? Oh, absolutely.
Which is crazy to talk
We
about.
haven't even talked about, like, Duren has so, like, far to go as far as being a even better defender than what he's shown us so far this year. You're loving what you're getting from Beef Stew right now. He's playing above his size. I've said that before. They absolutely can get better as a defense. They ain't even scratched the surface yet. This is just base level defense that we're getting. It's a breath of fresh air because we haven't seen it for so long.
Hey, Rod, take it away, brother. Swish or break.
The question is not whether they'll get better, but how much better they will get.
Oh, yeah. I love it, Rod.
Rod, just concise heat.
He
I'm like, that's
pontificated.
instant flame right there. That's the instant flame grill.
Brought to you by 1800 Tequila. Proud
Hey! Proud sponsor of your
Let's
Detroit
go.
Lions. Let's go.
You know what? The last one is a question. You want to ask that one? Let's rock.
Now, what are we thinking? Do the Pistons need another big or another guard?
We're not even saying will they make a trade. We're saying what is that biggest need right now? And I'm going to tell you, out of what I saw out of Jalen Duren, a couple games before the ankle got hurt, what I saw happen to the team against Houston, because if he was in that game, they win that game. And then seeing him back and the impact he has, I believe, and Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart has had a great impact to start the season. And I am very bullish on Paul Reed, but they need a backup facilitator. Not that Ivy isn't doing his thing as the staggered role, but they need somebody else, some type of either backup guard, point guard, combo guard that can facilitate and score as well. I believe that position needs to be a guard.
I will say guard as well. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Marcus Sasser has no place on this team. I was happy when they drafted him. He can shoot the three, but he has no place on this team. They need a backup point guard. And honestly, I'll give Jaden Ivey this. When Cade Cunningham was on the bench in the fourth quarter, Jaden Ivey did his thing. He was very, very good. We would be talking more about Jaden Ivey if they finished the game in regulation last night, but they need a backup point guard. Like you said, somebody that can facilitate on a nightly basis.
Yep, JB Smooth.
I mean, I give credit to Beef Stew and Duran as well, too. Since coming back from that ankle injury, I mean, it sucks, but he has put in the work and the time to be out there on the floor. So I definitely think you need another guard there, maybe a veteran, but just someone else that can come off the bench and just assist and help this team out in those lag times. So give me another guard.
Hey, KG.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah, you really need both of them. But if I had to choose, I mean, I got to pick a guard because, I mean, while I don't feel what Isaiah Stewart is doing right now is sustainable long term, he's been able to hold down that role coming off the bench, and hopefully you just get that improvement from Duran. But if you absolutely need a backup guard here, I mean, that's a glaring hole right now. It's not to say Jaden Ivey can't handle playmaking responsibilities, but if you get an actual guard in here that can do that, you know, that takes a little pressure off Jaden Ivey. That brings down Cade's usage rate a lot.
Yeah.
And they need somebody that can distribute off of the bench, because really right now it's Jaden Ivey and Malik Beasley, and no offense to them, but I need them, you know, being aggressive and scoring points. I don't need them necessarily facilitating offense.
True that. Rod Beard, swish or brick?
Did he just say both of them?
Both of them. Both of them. BOFFEM. Yes, both of them.
I'm gonna say a guard, and somebody of the ilk of a Trey Jones, something like that. Or if Pistons fans remember an Ish Smith, somebody who doesn't have to score but can just come in and distribute and score when needed. I think would really, really help.
Yeah, you know what? Chuck Brewer in the chat says if Ivy or Cade go down for a few games, we are in trouble. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even want to think about that. I'm going to knock on wood. But you are, you know what? That is a lot more right than wrong. And you know what, Summer, before we wrap up the segment, any thoughts on the Pistons, man? Or Motor City Cruise, all that stuff, because I know you were boots on the ground.
Yeah, I definitely love how the Pistons played yesterday. I was at the Cruise game, but I saw the highlights of the Pistons, and let me just say, they really turned up that defensive intensity in the second half, and so that, I was really happy to see that.
Hey, it's dope, man. Hey, are you believing? Are your expectations going up for the Pistons?
Oh, they're
going down?
exceeding them.
Wow,
they're exceeding them.
Let's rock. Let's rock. Well, hey, Rod, any last words for the Pistons segment, brother?
Keep an eye on three-point percentages this year, and I keep harping on this because it's so important to the flow of their offense, which is what Tobias was mentioning.
I love glasses,
and
Rod.
You still have Cade at 34%, J.I. at 36%, Tim is at 46%.
Oh.
As long as those numbers, you got 3 or 4 guys who are above that 35% range, you're going to be in good shape. And Fontecchio is jumping up there too. He's above 32% too.
About
so
time.
you're starting to see these guys really start to really get in the flow of this offense. And with the defense the way that it is, the more of those threes they're hitting, the better that offense is going to be.
Man, heat for a couple segments today, as always. Rod Beard of the Detroit News. What up, though, KG?
No, well, I did have a question. I just wanted to really ask you about Tobias Harris, because I like Tobias Harris on this team, but I am a little bit concerned with like what I'm seeing from him, because just being honest, I felt like if he played better in at least 2 or 3 of these games, we would have a few more wins in the win column. His points are down. He's down to 14%. His 3-point percentage is hovering barely under 30. Are you concerned about Tobias Harris's play at all?
Not right now. His 3-point percentage was like 16%, so he's almost doubled.
It was horrible
in the past week. Right. So I will say the same thing. It's not whether Tobias will get better, but how much better he will get. Same deal. They've gotten to 5 and 7 without the Tobias we thought we would see. So if you get there, how much better are they going to be when they get to that point? So give it a couple more weeks. Again, the schedule is favorable coming up with winnable games. They could jump up above 500 this week. It's possible. It could happen.
Wow, that would be something. I was telling Flannel if they just won one more game, we'd be sitting up here talking about the third place Pistons. But instead, we have to settle for 7th place, Rod. 12 games
Give it a
into
week.
the season.
Give it a week.
Let's go.
Let's talk next week. Let's talk
Hey,
next week.
you know what? Because it was a couple weeks ago, it was fun to say playing Pistons. Now, 12 games in, we're talking about still 7th place playing Pistons. Let's see if this trend continues for them.